Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Today's Tuesday, April 28th, and I'm Dan Lannon. I'm just coming from Newbury. I'm at home, and we're doing our little town hall meeting today. Sharon Pitts will join me in a little while, and sticking sort of with the format that people have said that they like is Tuesdays. We update you sort of on the current status of testing and cases that we have current. And do a little more of just a recap of how the weekend went and specific things that we expect this week. And then from there, Sharon will come on, talk about some experiences that we've had with mobile testing and stuff like that. And then, later in the week, Dan will do his other presentations in the Unity Forum on Friday, which again, if you saw last week's was outstanding. So we're happy to report we do have 4 current individuals living in one of the houses to where those individuals are being served out of that residence right now. And they, I believe, are on their 5th or 6th day of having been on tested positive and now going through the quarantine period. And so reports are good from their staff. Have been doing the 12-hour rotation at that location, staying at a hotel, and things have been going pretty well there. We also have the new Boston Street Center, for which the last person who was positive there moved out this afternoon, and so we're able to shut that down once again, like we did last time, and we'll go ahead and shut that down as of right now, actually, and we'll have that cleaned and disinfected and have the environment really cleaned, and try to replenish supplies and use this little bit of a gap, a lull, and in the hopes that we don't need it again, but certainly if we need it again, we're prepared in that aspect. I want to say thank you again to all the staff working at the regular residential homes, providing the 24-hour care like they are. And those are for the people that have either gone through and already had the COVID virus, or for those in the houses that haven't been affected. We just wanted to say thank you to all those staff again for continuing to be dedicated in the care that they've provided. And then, of course, also to the staff that have gone through the new Boston Street Center and done some shifts there and taken care of individuals there. And now the staff taking care of the residents that has tested positive. And so just to remind everybody again that the house where people are tested positive, why they're staying there, was we did identify that program, as well as 2 others at the beginning of this crisis, as ones that we were going to try to serve in their residential homes. And we're happy to say that that's working and that's going well. So I want to just thank everyone, the team, for all the planning and everything going into this. Things have certainly continued to evolve daily, but I think we've responded to some of the challenges, and people have really worked together, and the steady flow of PPE equipment coming in, and special lunches and dinners that people have dropped off, and just letters of support, and just different activities happening at the homes. Again, I can't say enough thanks to the staff and to the families and to everyone really that has helped us get us this far in this crisis. It seems like this has been going on for so long, yet I feel like the days go by so fast. And so we heard from Governor Baker yesterday that he has not made any decisions, or at least shared any information about stay-at-home ordinance, and so we're still abiding by those rules. And his original dates that he had set up were on May 4th, which is this coming Monday. But I think we'll have some more guidance before then. I will say that on a couple webinars we've been on this week, at the end of last week, but also this week, the question was asked many different ways, many different times, whether when do we see day programs opening again? When do we go back to business as usual? And I don't, the answer that is continuously given to us from Mass Health, from Charlie Baker's office, and from everyone, is no one has that time frame. No one knows when that is. We know that, not the region we're in, the Central Middlesex region, is still experiencing high numbers of positive cases, has really ramped up the testing. We talked last week about some mobile testing sites that Matt Johnson was helping us advocate to have residential programs tested, and we were able to go through the first residential home, get all those staff and individuals tested, and that was a great process and a great relief, and all those individuals came back negative, which is great. And now we just continue to try to continue with the PPE equipment and continue practicing social distancing and maintain the health and safety of all the houses that have not experienced someone having tested positive. So we have the mobile testing, which we access. We've also accessed the various sites around the state that you heard for rapid testing or for the 2 to 3 day testing results. And so we continue to get staff tested at very large volumes, get individuals tested by the mobile testing site as much as possible. DDS has now started offering pop-up sites, which last Friday was their first pop-up site, where we will be hosting one of those pop-up sites next week. We don't have the exact date nailed down yet. We're waiting to hear from DDS on that, but we believe it will be at the Westford location early next week, and that will be a chance for all the staff to be able to get their information and to Sharon, so that we can help Sharon and Matt, so we can help to get them on the list to be tested. And the capacity for that at those programs, I believe Kelly mentioned today, it was 1,000 people a day. We know out in Taunton they were able to test even more than 1,000 yesterday. So it won't just be for NuPath, it will be for other programs, sending their staff as well to get tested. And just like we accessed last week another program and went and got tested. So that is great news. It's all about the testing. We realize that, but also we know that the testing only gives us a result for that moment in time. And so that therefore that person tests positive or that person tests negative, that is just for that particular moment. Then they go out and the interactions that they have from there and the exposure that they have from there could create just as great a risk. And so that's what we're all continuing to battle. And so so things are well. It's exciting to be able to close the New Boston Street location again. That has really proved very effective for us, having it open the second time and being able to handle the group of people that went through that. And so we'll get that cleaned. We'll get the houses cleaned like we've done other times people have tested positive, and we continue to move on with the hopes that we won't need to access that center again, but it will be there if we are in need of it. We'll be ready. So Greg, I don't know if you want to bring on Sharon right now. Sharon can do some updates, give us a little detail on the number of staff tested, cases gone through at NuPath. Hey, there she is. Hey, Sharon. And just really bring us up to speed about day-to-day stuff going on right now.
Okay, so the mobile testing, we have a couple more houses in right now. We're just waiting for the time frame for those. We have tested about 30 individuals with the mobile testing. We're really for how many people are out there that are positive, and all the news you hear on the TV and radio. We've done well with the staff that work for NuPath. Most of the staff, in fact, all of the staff that have worked at the New Boston Street location have been tested. Either they did their 14-day quarantine or they were tested, but they tested negative. So that's really wonderful. That shows that they're maintaining their PPE and all the guidance that we've put in place to ensure their safety. Like you talked about the one house that we have, the people positive, that's going well so far. Don't have any issues there. Nurses continuing to oversee the and check-ins with the residential programs. That's been going well.
That's good.
Yes.
And equipment wise at the houses that have seems to be holding up, the PPE equipment and all the supplies needed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we still have our link for you can order it once a week, but we still have a supply of the hand sanitizer. Everybody knows that's very hard to come by nowadays, but we do have a link for that we can get weekly, so so that will continue to flow as well. So we're doing well with our PPE and all of our equipment.
Good. So I know when I talked with you the other day, of all the PPE equipment we were talking about having in excess of or planning for or making sure that we had a adequate supply, one of the things you mentioned were the thermometers that you couldn't
Yes.
continue to order enough thermometers. And are
Yes.
you in good shape with those right now?
Yes. In fact, I just ordered. Those are very hard to come by, so I have more in order again. Was able to. I have 5 of the no touch thermometers, and then I finally got in some that I ordered before this all started, just at the beginning of this pandemic, and those came in the other day. But they're all Celsius, so I'm working on doing a grid and having that on our paperwork so that people can see what, because people aren't used to, everybody's used to everything being Fahrenheit. So yeah, so that's good. So that will be no one has to touch anybody. You don't have to wipe it down with an alcohol prep. And I think that's the reason why the issues with the other thermometers was, because so every time you use it, you have to clean it with the alcohol prep. And I think that's what was killing the thermometers. So, these ones new, you just have to clean the part that you touch, because it's a no touch system.
Right. And so as far as active results we're waiting on for any individuals right now, there's no one out there currently right now that we're waiting for results for, is that correct?
Well, we just no, I just got off the phone with epidemiologist from DPH, and we did a mobile testing site on Thursday and Friday, and everybody was negative, the individuals. So we did find out a couple of staff were positive, but.
Good. And then, as Sharon and I mentioned, we're going to be going ahead and hosting one of those mobile sites ourselves, and so we'll be able to get a bunch of staff signed up to access testing there, and we'll just make sure we communicate more information once we have a date in the process that they want to see. Have people work with you and Matt for that. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Yes, and for anybody that's been through the mobile testing, one of the issues was trying to get the results, because there's been a lag time on that. But the pop-up sites, they've come up with an app that if it's a staff that wants to get tested, you'll be able to go download an app, fill in the information that's needed, and then you'll get your results. So you won't have to have that long wait, or have us like calling the boards of health trying to find out the results, because people, start getting nervous when you don't hear after the 24 to 36 to 72 hours that they're saying it takes. So, because those pop-up sites it's not a rapid test. You don't get it's not a point of care. So it goes through a lab and you have to wait however long it is that they process it. So.
Right. And then, also last week we talked about some members of NuPath, that individuals that were lost during that past week. And this past weekend, we lost two more individuals of the Westford program, Joyce and Frankie. And both Joyce and Frankie were part of the Westford program and had been with us, Frankie since 2008. And Joyce since 2012, and I think Greg is going to pull up a picture of Frankie and Joyce. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Frankie started at the Martin Center and then transferred out to the Westford program, and so he was another one that has touched so many people at NuPath, and just I know that he was having some health issues before this whole crisis started, but it's unfortunate he won't be around, and his smiling face won't be shining on us anymore. And so Sharon, I don't know if there's any other updates or anything else you want to add at this point. We'll keep people informed of the mobile testing and reach out to them. Do we know the stipulations around will be for people only for staff showing symptoms, or do we know, would it be for family members of an individual who maybe the family took home at the beginning of this? Do we know any of those details?
For the pop-up site?
Yeah.
That's for any staff that wants to get tested. They do not have to have any symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good.
that's a good thing. Yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Anything else before you sign off? And
yeah,
no.
Sharon, just before you go, real quick, we had a question come in from a parent, and I don't know if it's worth revisiting the process, but the question was specifically, have all the houses been tested now?
No, we have submitted the houses, but we have no control over which house gets picked first. So we are submitting them as we go along. But everybody, that's our intention, is to get every house tested. Yes.
Right, and just to remind people, we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. We were asked to prioritize our houses to DDS as far as the ones we felt needed to be tested. Maybe like on a list from say 1 to 10 or 1 to 18, if you will. And then from there, they're prioritizing those with other agencies that they're offering this mobile testing for. And the motivation from what the department has told us is that if there is a person that they know has been positive that has worked in a residential program, or if there's an individual that is positive, that those houses are the ones that prioritized. And so that's why we're able to have a few of our houses trickle in these testing when there is that gap, and they're increasing their capacity daily. We heard again today Kelly Lawless speak about them increasing their capacity, and so we're hopeful that the rest of the houses will be tested fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So any other questions for Sharon, Greg, before she signs off?
No, that's it. Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sharon. Thank you.
Thanks.
So we didn't 2 weeks ago we did have our first round of furloughs, and those were staff that we are hopeful to get back as soon as possible, as soon as we have some clarity on when transportation and other aspects of services will pick up here. Other than that, staff that continue to work at NuPath, continue to join these webinars, continue to stay committed to providing the best services that we can, and we're just so appreciative of that. The virtual learning, we've heard tremendous things, tremendous feedback from families and from our funding source about the virtual classes that they've joined and were able to observe themselves. And so we will continue to offer that. That is on our website. You can link up with that and see what services are offered. Again, if you need equipment to be able to participate in those classes, please let us know. Reach out to whoever you feel you can reach out to me, but reach out to your point of contact that you usually would have at NuPath, and we will help to get that equipment out to you. We know we delivered, I think it was somewhere between 17 and 22 let's call them tablets to different families and residentials, that programs that they needed to be able to access the classes, the morning meetings, the lunchtime hang, and a few other activities you've heard Dan talk about. So if you don't have the equipment to do that and you need that, please let us know, and we'll try to reach out and get that to you, and we'll keep you all up to date. Hopefully we'll have more information on Thursday when Dan talks about the mobile pop-up testing and what will be the, how many people will be able to handle and manage through that. Because again, we will be sharing that with other providers and other providers and people that are getting tested from their programs. So, so Greg, I don't know if there's any questions for me. Before I guess I even get to the questions, I just want to again recognize the staff that worked with Joyce and Frankie over all these years and provided such loving care for them. They were certainly two staples of our program, and they will be missed. And those staff that worked with them for so many years, we're thankful for everything they've done to make their lives better. So, any questions, Greg? I don't see any on my end.
Yeah, Dan, just a question. Well, the question is, what is your plan for when you open the day habs?
Mm-hmm. So, again, I feel like there's so much speculation out there about how people have been theorizing about how programs would open again. Certainly, we've heard that without an antibody test or without a vaccine, how would they be able to open an 80-person day habilitation program or a 100-person dual program? So we've heard ideas of having a 12-hour day and having people come in different shifts, having people do longer days, one less day a week, so that you would rotate people through. We've also heard about programs that might need to be open on weekends as we move forward. I think these are all just people's personal theories. Certainly, Governor Baker wouldn't commit to any guidance yesterday, and Mary Lou Sutters, who's on his updates as well, and another package was made available for us to access so that we can continue to pay the staff the stipends and bonuses that we are to continue to work in these critical times. And so we're sort of taking our marching orders from them, and to speculate about how the day programs would open, I think is going to be, it touches so many different parts of what we do. I mean, a 15-passenger van shows up to the house and picks up maybe 12 or 13 individuals on it and comes into a day program. Unless we have some other solutions for that, that is very, very hard to believe that we would be at a point, where we're ready to start opening that up. But we also know that other states are starting to open their states up and offer different services. And so I think that's what we'll see first, and we'll have to just continue to monitor the cases that come in the state, and certainly the belief is, and I know this isn't, I'm not a doctor and I tend to stay away from any medical things, but the belief is that you would not be able to contract the virus again, and everyone's very hopeful that is going to be something that remains true. And so we'll continue to update you guys in this when we have information. I don't expect, I've said a couple of times privately, I don't know if I've said it on this forum, but I don't anticipate programs being able to get back to normal to mid-June at the earliest. But that's just my belief, my speculation. That doesn't mean that some aspects of our day programs don't get back to normal. Certainly employment services or the No Walls programs, many of those community-based programs, those will be the quickest. I think we'll be able to get back on a regular schedule and a routine. And for us at NuPath, that's huge. For us, that would mean that our residential programs that have the ASD individuals living at the houses and the young adults would be able to go back to some facsimile of what their day was before, and get back to a routine. And we know how much better everyone does with the routine. And so just that alone for us is huge. That doesn't answer our day programs, opening the doors of them, but it certainly helps lives of those people living at those houses. And I think it's going to be baby steps as we move forward. So.
And I'm pretty sure you mentioned it right off the top, but a couple of people have chimed in asking if we're aware of the Governor Baker extending the stay-at-home order to May 18th. So I believe you said that at the beginning, but just want to clarify that for people.
Yeah, so I mentioned the May 4th because the May 18th, I think when I was on a call earlier, they talked about him extending the stay-at-home to May 18th, but then talked about some services that were going to be allowed to open, and I just didn't know enough about the specifics of that because I haven't seen it myself or heard it myself, and so I thought I'd tend to stick with the updates I know from NuPath and the concrete information I have, and certainly, you know, when I hear that myself and know that information fully, I would share it here in more detail and how it affects, you know, us at NuPath. But I had heard about the May 18th date as a continuing the stay-at-home orders, but what that means for us at NuPath and the ability to expand and open up different aspects of services. I believe we still would be following that May 18th guidelines, but again, you know, we'll be on the call with DDS and Mass Health as soon as tomorrow at 3, and so we'll know more information then. So.
Great. The only other question was about, have we been contacted by the state for financial help for group homes? I know Dan might cover that a little bit on Thursday, but that was the last question that came in.
So yeah, we had a call yesterday with the state, and we heard yesterday also in Governor Baker's press conference, Mary Lou Setters talk about $44 million being made available to help, you know, agencies like us pay the stipends to staff to be able to work on the front lines and help through this crisis. And so, yes, we heard about that announcement yesterday. We were on a call this morning with ADDP, a provider group, really giving us some of the language behind how we're able to access that and how we're going to go forward with that. You know, the original 80% that DDS has offered us or allowing us to bill on for our contracts to help us continue to have revenue coming in. There has been some issues with that, and DDS's plan was not accepted by the CMS, and so by the federal government, and so then therefore they had to go back to the drawing board to be able to provide us those services, and so that funding, and so we have not received that funding as of yet, but we anticipate receiving that funding. And so as Dan talked about before, the PPP loan that we applied for was you know, great that we received that. It allowed us to keep so many people's paychecks whole, and certainly, you know, as we did last time, as we know the more detail about funds being made available and how we're able to access that and what we can offer staff is what we'll look at again, so that if we are able to pass anything more on to the staff working right now at the residential homes or in the crisis centers, I call them crisis centers, but the New Boston Street Center, and with positive cases, we will certainly do that. You know, it so much entails part of that package. They also talked about the cleaning, the expenditures, about environments, and making sure you have the PPE equipment, and so that umbrella of money for which they directed towards so many different things. We have to figure out what that means exactly for NuPath as a whole, and how we're able to pass that on. So.
Great, that's it for questions, Dan.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you, everyone, very much. Hope it was informative. Hopefully you get your questions answered. If something else pops up and you think of it, email Greg, or certainly send it along to myself or Dan Harrison, and we'll get back to you. We'll include it in Thursday's meeting if we can, and try to keep everybody informed and as up to date as much as possible. And I know that a lot of staff have been anxious about the their ability to go ahead and get tested, those staff that have been working. And so we will have a lot more information by the end of this week as far as the pop-up site and location and what day, so that we'll be able to schedule in. And so just stay in touch. So thank you.